Mercury is retrograde, and before you groan, I want to offer you a different way to think about this one. Mercury retrograde has a reputation. The technology breaking, the contracts going sideways, the miscommunications and missed connections and everything going wrong energy. And those things do happen, but they happen because something more fundamental is occurring. Mercury, the planet of communication, thought, and perception, has turned inward. And when it turns inward, it's asking you to do the same. This retrograde is in Cancer, the sign of emotional memory, of home, of the places where you learned what it meant to feel safe being fully yourself. Mercury retrograde in Cancer is not asking you to back up your devices and triple check your emails, although maybe do both of those things. It is asking you something much more important. It's asking, what story are you still telling yourself that isn't true anymore? The old conversations, the old narratives about who you are and what you're worth and what's possible for you. The things you absorbed in environments that weren't built for you and carried forward as fact. Mercury retrograde in Cancer brings them to the surface. Not to hurt you, but to give you one more clear look at them before you choose to put them down. That's what we're working with today. This meditation is for the inward turn, for hearing what's actually true underneath all of the noise, for the quiet clarity that Mercury retrograde, at its best, can offer. So take a breath and let yourself fully arrive. Find your comfortable position, either seated or laying down, wherever your body can be most at ease. Take a slow, full breath in through your nose. Hold for a moment, and then fully release through your mouth. And let the exhale be longer than the inhale. Let it signal to your nervous system, we are slowing down on purpose. And again, breathe in slowly and out slowly, like you're setting something down that you've been carrying without realizing it. One more time. And this time on the exhale, let your jaw unclench. Let your eyes soften behind your closed lids. And let your hands open if they've been holding anything. Good. You're here. That's the whole beginning. Mercury retrograde is happening whether we participate consciously or not. The question is whether we resist the inward pull and spend the next 3 weeks fighting technology and miscommunication and the sense that everything is slightly off, or whether we lean into it, work with it, let it show us what it came to show us. So I want to invite you into that lean. In the quiet of this moment, I want you to ask yourself honestly, not with your analytical mind, but with the part of you that knows things before it can explain them. What is Mercury retrograde bringing up for you right now? What conversation feels unfinished? What decision feels murky? What truth has been trying to surface and you've been too busy or too scared or just too tired to sit with it fully? Whatever it is, Let it arrive. Don't fix it. Don't immediately figure out what to do with it. Just let it be present, seen, acknowledged, allowed to exist in the light of your attention without being rushed towards a resolution. Mercury retrograde in Cancer is not asking you to solve anything right now. It's asking you to feel it, to let the emotional truth be present before you try to think your way through it. The Cancer piece is important. Emotion first, then logic. Heart first, then head. Let the feeling be real before you start to strategize. Here is where I want to go a little deeper. Cancer is the sign of memory, of what we carry from our origins, family, childhood, the environments where we first learned what it meant to exist in the world. Mercury retrograde in Cancer has a particular tendency to surface old narratives, old voices, things that were said or not said that became part of how you see yourself. Is there an old story running underneath your current life? A belief about who you are, what you deserve, what's possible for you, that was formed in conditions that no longer apply? Something like, I'm not someone who gets to have that. Or, I always mess things up at the important moment. Or, if people really knew me, they would leave. Or, I'm too much or not enough. Or some quieter version of something that has shaped your choices for longer than you've consciously realized. Let it surface now, without shame. It made sense once. It was protective once. It was a conclusion drawn by a younger version of you, working with the information available to you at that time. It was wisdom for that moment, and it has been running on autopilot ever since. Mercury retrograde is asking you to look at it directly, not with judgment, with the clear eyes of someone who knows they are no longer in the environment that made it necessary. You are not in that environment anymore. So I want you to say this out loud or in your head, and let it be a recognition, not a performance. Really let it land within you. I see the story I have been carrying. I understand where it came from. I honor the version of me who needed it. And I am no longer that version, in those conditions, needing that protection. I am allowed to put it down. With the old story named and seen, let's go to what's actually true. Not the aspirational version, the genuine one. The truth that has been underneath this narrative the whole time, patient and real and waiting. What do you actually know about yourself? Not what you've been told, not the story that runs on autopilot, but what you genuinely, in your bones, in the quiet underneath all the noise, know to be true. Let it come. It might be small. It might be a single sentence. It might arrive as a feeling rather than words. And that's fine. Let it be what it is. That knowing, that is what Mercury retrograde in Cancer is trying to get you back to. The emotional truth that has been buried under the inherited narratives and the old conditioning and the story you've been managing yourself through. It's still there. It has always been there. You don't create it in this meditation. You remember it. Now I want you to repeat this. Underneath everything I have been told about myself, I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. I know what is true about me. And I am choosing, in this moment, to let that knowing be louder than the old story. Mercury governs communication, and the retrograde is not just about receiving, it's about what you're sending, what you're saying and not saying, what you've been swallowing because the moment didn't feel right, or the person didn't feel safe, or you weren't sure that it would land. Is there something you've been needing to say to someone else or to yourself that hasn't been said yet? Not to be acted on right now, not necessarily to be sent as a message today, but held clearly, known, acknowledged as real and true and worth saying when the time is right. Let those ideas form. Let it have its full shape without editing it into something more acceptable or less vulnerable or easier to ignore. What is the unedited version? Mercury retrograde in Cancer is the season for emotional honesty, not performances of it, but the real thing, starting with yourself. Before you can communicate clearly outward, you need to be clear about what you actually feel, what you actually need, and what you actually know. So get clear in here first. The right timing for what comes next will make itself known. Now take a full breath, in slowly and out completely. You've done the inward work. You named what Mercury retrograde is surfacing for you. You saw the old story clearly. You touched what's actually true underneath it. And you heard the unspoken thing. That's the retrograde used well. Not endured, used. Over the next 3 weeks, until Mercury stations direct on July 23rd, I want to invite you to stay in this inward orientation, not checking out of your life, but listening more, feeling before strategizing, letting the emotional truth of situations land before you decide what to do with them. Mercury retrograde in Cancer is giving you a rare gift, the chance to get deeply honest with yourself about the stories that you've been living inside. So use it. Mercury slows down so we can catch up with ourselves, so the messenger can turn inward and deliver the most important message of all, the one that comes from your own knowing, your own emotional truth, your own center. You have received that message today. Let it do what it came to do. Mercury retrograde, working with it, not against it. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.